Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Now this video is gonna be a Q&A video. So not long ago, I recently put up a poll on my Instagram page asking you to ask me any questions you want regarding trading, and I'll try my best to pick out the best questions and answer them in this video. Quite a straightforward video, let's get into it. So Xiaoming asks, do you have a fixed lot size because sometimes the pips is not the same with the previous trade? Lot sizes for me, because I used a fixed SL, it will only change depending on the account size. If I'm trading a 100k account, the lot sizes will be different if I'm trading a 200k or a 300k account. So the only difference for me is account size that I'm using to trade with. That will determine my lot size. Xiaoming also asks, may I know what sessions do you trade? So predominantly I trade two sessions, which is the European session and the US session. FX Sherlock asks, are there any psychological struggles of being a full-time trader? I think there will always be a lot of pressure being a full-time trader, because by becoming a full-time trader, you are potentially leaving your 9 to 5 job, right? A 9 to 5 corporate job would provide you consistent monthly income at the end of every month. But as soon as you dive into full-time trading, you are essentially leaving that consistent income and you are depending on income that is not guaranteed in trading, right? It's all performance dependent. So if you do well in trading, you will get paid a lot of money. But if you don't do well in trading, then you wouldn't make money or potentially could lose money as well. So definitely there's a bit of pressure and there's a bit of psychological play when you leave your full-time job to become a full-time trader. But you have to weigh the pros and cons and see which one best suits you. What I would personally recommend is that you would keep your full-time job while trading on the side. And if so happen that your trading can outperform your current job, it will still be up to you if you want to leave your full-time corporate job and go full-time on trading. So High Class Roller Coaster asks, hi there, love your vids. Would like to ask, which broker do you use for your personal capital? I only recently started trading personal accounts and it took me a while to find a suitable broker with good spreads and everything. I started trading with the broker called Fusion Markets. Over time, I would want to keep adding into my personal account and make it bigger, because at the end of the day, prop firms are there for you to make money. It's not the end goal trading with prop firms. You need to trade prop firms, you need to trade your personal capital, and you also need to trade other things alongside with it. So don't just depend on prop firm funding, you should depend on multiple sources as well. So Faiz MD asks, please show how to backtest and tips and tricks to master one pair like you have. Backtesting is essentially replaying previous price action as though it's happening for the first time. And you need some sort of strategy or structure so that you can backtest and collect data, right? So you need to collect data. Data is your best friend, like I said. The reason why I stick to one pair is because I'd rather be good at one pair than be average at many pairs. So I find a lot of new traders, when they enter this space, it can be quite overwhelming that you need to manage a lot of pairs. Just pick one for the meantime, stick to one, and see what you can do with that pair. Bon_Niface asks, practical way on how you deal with mental game of trading, such as sticking to the rules. Sticking to your rules is the foundation of trading, because if you can't stick to your rules, then most likely you're gonna fail. The reason why a lot of people are unable to stick to their rules, even though it clearly states that their rules are profitable, is because that they don't have enough discipline or patience or enough trust in their strategy. As soon as you experience a little bit of drawdown or maybe a losing streak, then you will start to panic and say, hey, maybe I need to change something in my trading approach so that this doesn't happen again. But what you guys have to understand is that even great traders such as myself, I deal with drawdown and I deal with losing streak. I think not long ago, I had an 8-trade losing streak. 8 trades in a row, I took a loss. Was I worried? Not really, because through my data of backtesting, I know what my max losing streak is. As long as it's within that number, it's already expected that these things are going to happen. Don't try to chase for the perfect strategy where that you will have a high win rate and you have no drawdown or no losing streaks. Like, these things are going to happen. You just need to accept that it's part of the probabilities and just continue to stick to your plan. So Azri1800 asks, how to manage risk on a 10k eval account? That's only a question that you know the answer to, because what you're comfortable risking per trade is different to how another person would approach it. For example, for me, I risk 1% per trade. That's because I know my strategy inside out, and that's the optimal risk per trade that I should risk. But that doesn't mean it applies to everybody. You need to find out what risk per trade suits your style of trading. It may be 1.5% per trade. It might be 0.5% per trade. I don't know. But only you would know according to the data that you have collected throughout backtesting your strategy. Azri1800 also asks, what is the trading concept you apply and use to take good entries? If you're talking about like trading concepts like ICT, I don't trade ICT. But if you're talking about how I look at a chart, it's basically price action. I do and execute what price tells me to do. So price action and my trading plan combined together, that's how I would execute my trades. I'm not going to tell you that every entry I take is a good entry because I do not know whether it's a good entry or not. All I know is that if I keep trading according to my plan, over the long run, I will be profitable. As you can see on my public verifiable track record with DarwinX0, you can take a look at how I've been performing over the past few months. What you need to learn from this is that if you have a trading plan that is profitable, just keep following your trading plan. Do not change anything. So Nimir_Mo1 asks, could you do a tutorial for people on how to properly backtest, beginner tips that you wish you knew? Also, like how to build a system as a beginner and become profitable. Share your experience. Now, I'm not going to do a tutorial on backtesting because there are a lot of videos on backtesting online. You can just go to YouTube, search how to backtest a trading strategy, and there'll be a lot of videos to show you that. So I'm not going to create a video on that. Tips that I wish I knew. I wish I knew how important backtesting is and how important it is to collect data, use that data to refine your strategy into becoming a profitable strategy. It's the same thing as how to build a system. How I did it is that I took different parts of trading strategies that I like and resonated with my personality and combined it together to create my own trading plan and structure, right? It's kind of like you have to be in a process of self-discovery. You don't know what works, but you need to keep working on it until it somehow eventually works. On a side note, a lot of people try to shortcut this process by paying for a trading course or a mentorship. I'm not saying that these things don't help. What I'm trying to say is you spending money doesn't necessarily help the process either, because at the end of the day, you as a trader are not supposed to depend on other people for your own success, right? You need to depend on yourself. So Nordin_DHX asks, how much risk per trade per day? So I mainly risk 1% per trade, and in a day, I do not allow myself to lose more than 2% in a day. So with 1% risk per trade, if I take 2 losses in a row, which means 2%, I will stop trading for the day and focus on the next trading day. Hassan Tamim asks, how do you trade multiple accounts at the same time? Some prop firms like FundNext don't allow it. So I use a trade copier called Traders Connect. If you want to check it out, there's a link in the description of the video and I'll pin it in the comment section as well. So essentially, Traders Connect is a software where it allows you to connect multiple prop accounts and trade them together. If one master account takes the trade, all the other accounts that is connected to the master account immediately enters the trade as well. With prop firms like FundNext that doesn't allow trade copiers, I'm currently max allocated with FundNext. Yes, they do not allow trade copiers, so I do not use my FundNext accounts with the trade copier. I trade them manually. If prop firms do not allow trade copiers, then do not use them with trade copiers because you're gonna get banned. So QRXE_trades asks, how to get better at exiting trades at the right time. No one is going to know when is the best time to exit a trade because you can't call the top of price and you can't call the bottom of the price as well. People claiming that they can have the perfect entry or exit, it's actually nonsense because all you need to do as a trader is that you have an entry plan and an exit plan, right? This is where you're going to enter the trade and this is where you're going to exit the trade. You shouldn't care how price moves after you have exited a trade. Adesh Tamak 10 asks, can you trade personal account in Malaysia? Yes, you can. There are a lot of traders in Malaysia trading with personal accounts, so I'm not sure why you think that you cannot. Sharmashivansh123 asks, what can you make in a month estimate with $1 million in funded accounts? For me as a trader, funded with over 1 million in funding capital, what I would be content with is to make 1 to 2% consistently on these accounts every month. If I can make 2% a month on a $1 million funded account, you can simply do the math. 2% of a million is 20,000 USD, and you take 80% of the profit split, meaning you will get around 16,000 USD if you're hitting 2% a month. Now that is already a lot of money considering where my previous corporate job, I was earning around 12,000 USD a year. So if I do 2% on my $1 million funded account, then I'm already earning more than my annual income when I was working in a corporate job. ZWEPYAE830 asks, if I aim a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, which one is more better for each trade, 0.5% or 1%? Now, these kind of questions, you would only know the answer to it because I don't know your win rate. So I don't know whether less risk is better for you or more risk is better for you. You need to figure out which risk per trade you're comfortable with taking according to your strategy. Traveler5 asks how to be consistent. Now, being a consistent trader is all about following your plan and sticking to it even when times get rough. So whether you're winning, whether you're losing, you should be consistent and stick to your rules to not change anything. Just because you hit a losing streak or just because you had a losing trade, that doesn't mean your strategy stops working. So stick to the plan, then you would yield the consistent result. Muhammad_Sadi asks, have you traded the ICT Silver Bullet before? No, I do not trade the ICT Silver Bullet and I've never traded ICT Concept. In fact, I've actually never learned any ICT Concept in my trading journey. Pepe_13426 asks, how do you backtest and journal properly? I backtest using software such as TradingView or FX Replay, and I journal my trades using Google Excel spreadsheet. I manually log all the trades that I've taken during my backtesting and other data to record, such as my win rate, max losing streak, max winning streak, the time of my entry, when did the trade exit, stuff like that. Ryan.Phillips.97 asks, how often do you backtest? Now, there's two answers to this. When I was creating my own strategy and trying to make it have a profitable edge in the market, then I would backtest a ton, like every day, the whole day for like few months, because I needed to know what the data was saying, how I could make changes or tweak it so that it can become a more profitable edge in the market. Before I had my main structure or my main trading plan for my strategy that I'm currently using, I was backtesting a ton. Now, currently, with where I'm at with trading, where I'm funded over $1 million and I have yielded consistent payouts, I do not backtest anymore because I do not need any more data to know that what I'm doing works. Once you know that you have a profitable edge or a strategy, backtesting more doesn't really change anything because you already are applying it to the live markets and you're journaling the trades that you're taking, and that's it. You already have full confidence in your trading plan that you're going to execute the trades in the live market to get profit. So right now, I do not backtest anymore. Ali.Mughal63 asks, before trading, do you analyze the higher time frame chart? Simple answer is no, I do not analyze the higher time frame charts. I just focus on the few time frames that I am using, which is the 1 minute and the 5 minute. So in essence, I do not do what you call a top-down analysis to then figure out what I'm going to do on the charts or on that day when I'm trading. I don't do any top-down analysis and I do not refer to the higher time frames. Amir Razhar asks, tips on mental FOMO or revenge trading. Now, the only tip I can give you is to not do it, because whatever I tell you anyways, it's not to say irrelevant, but I can tell you all the tips that I want to tell you. At the end of the day, it's your actions and your discipline on when you're executing the trades in the market, right? So I can tell you to not FOMO, I can tell you to have better trading psychology, I can tell you to not revenge trade, but at the end of the day, it's up to you whether you are going to do it or not. So we all know that FOMOing, chasing trades, and revenge trading is never going to end well. Even if it makes you profit in the short term, it's not a good habit to build on a long-term or a sustainable basis. Just because you revenge traded or you chase a trade and it ended up hitting TP, that doesn't mean that it worked, because you broke your rules, you broke your trading plan, you didn't follow it, and you made profit. As a long-term consistent trader, I would rather make profits by following my plan than to make profits breaking my plan. So Wilson_Wizbar asks, risk mindset of sticking to your plan, managing your emotions and patience. Now, all these things are pretty much things that you need to become a complete trader, because not only you need the profitable edge, but you also need good trading psychology, discipline, patience, and to manage your emotions properly, right? From my experience, if you are attached to the outcome of the trade and you can't manage your emotions, then most likely you're going to make mistakes and you're going to deviate from your trading plan. Currently, with where I'm at with trading, I don't really care what happens when I enter the trade, whether it hits stop loss or take profit. It actually doesn't matter, because I know by following my trading plan and over a large enough sample size, long-term wise, I will be profitable. So just because I entered a trade and took a loss, it actually doesn't mean anything. And it's the same thing if I enter the trade and I take a win. It actually doesn't mean a lot. The only two outcomes is that, hey, I took a loss, it's okay, let's move on to the next trade. And if I take a win, that's good. I get to wait and get a payout. So I'm pretty numb to the outcome of the trade, and that's what I think makes me a consistent trader, is because that I don't focus and I no longer rely on the outcome of the trade. I don't think about it too much. Asad GKNG asks, how much you risk per trade on DarwinX account? When you sign up for DarwinX, you get an MT5 account, and I risk 1% per trade on my MT5 account, which is from DarwinX. But what actually gets reflected on DarwinX's back end, which is the profile or my DarwinX profile that you see on the website, it's actually lower than 1%. It's because that they have this thing called a risk multiplier. Let's say if my risk multiplier is 0.5 and I risk 1%, then what that means is that it's probably risking 0.5% on DarwinX's backend. Whatever I make on the DarwinX MT5 account doesn't really equate to what I make on DarwinX's backend due to the risk multiplier. The risk multiplier applies to everybody differently, but it's an even playing field. Amin_SBR asks, how many times have you blown up your accounts until you pass? Now, there's no set amount of accounts that I blow until I pass an account. Naturally, I'm a very conservative trader. So whenever I purchase the accounts, I aim to pass it. I don't want to actually fail it. Whereas there are other traders out there in the trading space that they take a very high risk and high leverage approach with these prop firm accounts. They would go ultra high risk with the challenges in attempts to pass it. Let's say they have enough capital to keep purchasing accounts and filling the accounts until eventually they pass one and make a payout, then that payout covers the rest of the blown challenges, right? But that's not how I approach funded accounts and the challenges. Every challenge that I purchase, I actually aim to pass it, even if it takes me a little longer than the other people that are going high risk on it. How many accounts I blow until I pass one, it actually depends. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, but it's not going to be a very high number like 10 or 20. I'm just a very conservative trader. Siffy Wadlams _ asks how to deal with drawdown or losing streak. I also previously mentioned this in a previous question, where recently, I think last month or more than a month ago, I took 8 losing trades in a row. I lost 8 times in a row. And it actually didn't really affect me that much because I know and trust my data of my strategy. If I can get through this losing streak, I can actually crawl out of it and make it out of drawdown, which is exactly what I did. If you look at my DarwinX portfolio, I think the previous month was a red month. That's when I had my 8 trade losing streak. I ended the month in a red, right? But if you look at the month after that, I actually got out of it as well. So for me as a trader, I don't define myself from yesterday's trade or the last week or the last month of trading. Trading is a long-term game, so you need to look at the bigger picture. You're not going to be a trader with 100% win rate, and it's impossible. So there's going to be months where you don't really perform well. But as long as overall you're profitable, then it doesn't matter about the red months, right? There's going to be red months here and there, but as long as in the year you're profitable, then it's all good. So the same question from Siffy Wadlams asks, how hard was it to go full-time in trading? It was really, really difficult. I'm not sure if there's any other career out there that is more difficult than going full-time in trading. As I also touched in a previous question, you are essentially leaving consistent income for income that is not guaranteed in trading. Right? Trading income is not guaranteed because it is performance dependent. For example, if you can ask yourself right now, hey, let's quit my corporate job and go full-time in trading. Can you actually do it? Can you withstand the pressure or the financial burden of actually suffering, starting from an unprofitable trader to a profitable trader? Because that's what I did. But my advice to anybody that wants to go full-time in trading is that you need to build a buffer in your bank account so that when you quit your job, you're not relying on your trading performance immediately for your bills and everything like that. What I did was, when I left my full-time corporate job, I actually had 12 months of expenses saved up already in my bank account. That means that for the next 12 months, I do not need to worry about what I'm going to eat, whether I have enough money to pay bills or all that kind of stuff. The next 12 months is already covered, so that what I can do is I can fully focus on my trading for the next 12 months. Just a side note, I was 8 months in already out of the 12 months of my expenses, and I still wasn't profitable. So that goes to show that I was cutting it quite close, but eventually everything paid off and everything's all good now. Another question from the same person: judging by how your trading is going, will you be financially free in the next 2 to 3 years? Now, define financially free. Do I have enough to retire? No, of course not. But am I financially free in a sense of I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and however I want? Then yes. Right now, I can just go take a vacation for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and it actually wouldn't really affect me financially because I've been performing quite well in my trading. So in that sense, trading is very rewarding, and I don't have anybody to report to. I'm my own boss. So I don't need to ask for permission whether I want to go on vacation or do whatever I want to do. Yeah, so that's the thing about trading. It's very, very rewarding if you get it right. You can say that I don't need the next 2 to 3 years to be financially free. I'm already financially free. And also the last question from the same person, they asked that why don't you consider using break-even or partials? It's because that when I backtested, the data suggests that using break-even and partials actually doesn't really help me. So that's why I just stick to either the trade hitting SL or TB. So nxil.fx asks, in that video on how one should start off with prop firms, secure payouts, and investor capital. I think there's going to be a lot of steps before you even get to this stage, because before you even start trading with prop firms, you need to have a profitable strategy. Most people do not have a profitable strategy in the long run to apply it to prop firms. You have to know that prop firms are not like trading personal accounts. We have prop firm rules that we need to follow, right? So you need to have a strategy that is suitable and adaptable to prop firm rules so that you can make the most out of prop firms. Before any of this, starting off with prop firms or securing payouts and investor capital, you need to have the edge in the market first, because if you're an unprofitable trader, then you wouldn't pass prop firms, you wouldn't secure payouts, and you wouldn't even go into something like DAOindex to attract investor capital, right? Because investor capital, they only want to invest in people that would make them profitable returns. So Ahmed_Abdin4244 asks, why don't you increase your risk to reward? It's because that when I backtested my strategy, the data suggested that increasing my risk to reward actually doesn't help me. What you need to know when increasing your risk to reward is that you're also decreasing your win rate. Because think about it, right? If you're aiming for more risk to reward, that means that price needs to travel more in order to hit that higher risk to reward. But most of the time, price actually doesn't really get there because you're asking too much of the movement. So do note that there is a direct correlation between higher risk to reward but a lower win rate. TBITW_007 asks, do you trade daily? How many trades do you average for a month following all the rules? According to my journal, averagely, I'm taking around 20 trades per month. So Recruit Ghost asks, is your strategy 100% mechanical? I would say 95% mechanical and 5% discretion. I wouldn't really say it's very 100% mechanical, but it's almost there. So V.inc.3 asks, how many years and trades do you backtest? Typically, I would recommend people to backtest at least 2 years of historical price action and at least 200 trades. If you're a trader that has already backtested 2 years but hasn't hit the 200 trade mark, keep backtesting until the 200 trade mark. Same goes for the other way around. If you're a trader that has already backtested 200 plus trades but haven't achieved the 2-year historical price action mark yet, then keep backtesting until you reach that. And I think with the combination of those two, you have a pretty good backtesting data that you have accumulated. And lastly, Farid NSZ asks, I want to know your top 3 prop firms and brokers you traded with. Thanks. I would say my top 3 prop firms right now is FTMO, Fivers, and FundedNext. Brokers, I don't really have a lot of experience trading with different brokers because I just only recently started trading a very small personal account. So the only broker that I'm currently using is Fusion Markets. So yeah guys, that's it for today's video. As always, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.